So I really want to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta and the fallout from this past episode, in addition to what is going to happen in the next episode. So there's a portion of this that will be news about the episode that we just saw. Then there's a portion of this that will be a bit of spoiler. So if you don't like to be spoiled, I mean, I don't know what to tell you, but I do. So let's go. Okay, so we know that Porsha had a date on this past episode. His name is Mike Anthony. And, we didn't believe it. At least I didn't believe it. I don't feel like they sold it to us that they had dated or were a couple or anything like that. So when this skit comes out, and it's basically a skit where he is convinced to join the Real Housewives of Atlanta and is told that producers were looking for a male love interest. He saw it as an opportunity, or is he is convinced that it is an opportunity to build his brand awareness and that his homie would try to get on there as well, right? Now, y'all told me yesterday that he appears in a lot of Country Wayne skits. So there's that. Okay. Now I didn't go down the rabbit hole on those skits or anything like that. But what I do know is that as a result, well, not as a result, I don't want to say that. But what I want to say is that it's interesting that, this comes out right after he appears on the show. And it does not appear that they have any connection or chemistry at all, in my opinion. But it's also interesting to note that as soon as the episode comes out, then this comes out. And Porsha denies this. She says, absolutely false story. This is a skit filmed after the Real Housewives of Atlanta season. So people are, they have their opinions about it in the comments because some people are saying they accuse Kenya of everything they are guilty of, by the way. Right? So that's one of the comments that I see. Somebody else says, bring Kenya back ASAP. Someone else says, no one believed they were a couple. No one. Um, Someone else says, I think we could all tell it was fake. It was no need for this. I said this yesterday, and I didn't feel like there was any need for Porsha to make this into a situation where she absolutely needed a date. I think she could have just hosted a night for, for the group and for couples, and she could have brought along her sister. Because at the end of the day, I just felt like if she's not dating anybody, or if she couldn't really find somebody that she was actually dating, why even put this person on the show? Then for this skit to come out, now granted, the skit could be just to go viral because they know that the episode has appeared, but it really does. I mean, yeah, it could be funny, but it really just kind of is at Portia's expense, to be honest with you. Now she's got to come into the comments. She's got to, defend this. And I just feel like it just does the fans a disservice. It does the show a disservice. It does producers a disservice because they're making it seem like producers asked them or were casting for a male person to play the part of Portia's man or date on this episode. And that just feels, I mean, it just makes the whole experience feel a little bit cheap to me. And I just think that the episode could have really done without his interaction or him on the show at all. If it was going to be something like this. And also if, for by and large, if they wanted to have sold it, they could have sold it, right? Because the two of them look good together, but at the end of the day, if it ain't there, it ain't there, right? So I wanted to touch on that, but I also wanted to touch on this. Okay. So Phaedra has been out doing press, actually alongside Angela, but it doesn't appear that Angela was along for this one. Now, what's interesting here is we're going to connect all of this back to Porsha, Drew, K. Michelle, and Kelli. Okay. So I want you to stay with me and follow this trail of breadcrumbs because it's pretty interesting. So in this interview, when Phaedra is asked about the whole drama with Angela from last season, she's basically like she felt like maybe Drew had a hand in trying to influence Angela because she felt like Angela was a rookie on the show and Drew is the vet. So there was no reason for Phaedra to dislike Angela or want to do anything to her, which in part, I mean, I do agree with that. I mean, there was no reason for it. I'm not sure how she ends up tagging Drew into this. I mean, because I feel like in my opinion, it feels sometimes like we can barely get any Drew in the episodes. So I'm not sure why she would be influential in that, but who knows? Okay, who knows? So the comments, and a shout out to No Chaser underscore TV, and also shout out to the Bravo Shade Room for the previous story. I'll put the links in the description. So here's where things get also very interesting. It is asked about this situation that's going to come up in this coming episode with Kelli allegedly dating a married man. Now, we don't know who this married man is. Although, what comes up in this conversation is because it is asked kind of like whose side Phaedra is on in that situation. And Phaedra really kind of pleads the fifth because, you know, the interviewer points out Phaedra does represent Kelli in some way, shape, or form legally, right? Which we had heard of, right? So Phaedra interestingly says, well, you know, I'm not on any side in this, but I do find myself in the middle of it. Why does she find herself in the middle of this situation, you might ask? Because, of course, Phaedra, being the godfather of Atlanta, as was told to us by Angela last season, she knows the man in question. Which is, again, not surprising because Phaedra seems to be in the know about everything. But so let's now take it back because the previews are out for the new episode that is coming up this Sunday. And in it, we see Porsha, K. Michelle, and Kelli going out for what appears to be like a tea, like afternoon tea, for which K. Michelle is having whiskey. Okay. K. Michelle is hilarious in this scene. I will place the links for that in the description as well. In the scene, you will see both at the beginning, you will see Kelli and Porsha seemingly wanting to make nice with each other, right? Seemingly wanting to, okay? So at the beginning of the scene, K. Michelle comments about how weird it was for Drew's date to have been on the FaceTime for the entirety of the evening, right? She thought that was weird. But then she was like, well, you know how these men do. And she basically says that he was in her DMs talking about how fine she was. So I would assume, maybe, perhaps, in some way, shape, or form, this is what is the catalyst for the Drew and K. Michelle feud that seems to explode in the future episodes. But as you can see, based on episode 1, there's already a sprinkling of something there because Drew acted as if she did not know that K. Michelle was even a singer still. So I thought that was very, very interesting because I'm like, where would that shade come from so quickly? But that confessional could have been filmed, after their beef. Okay. So that could be why she's throwing a shade so early in the episode, because if the episode, the confessionals are filmed after the episodes have been, shot, right? So something could have happened by that point in time to which now she's responding like, who is she? What does she do? I don't know her, giving Mariah Carey tease, right? All right, so what then comes up is, so that is the K. Michelle and Drew and Black of it all, right? Then comes the Fade the Porsha. I would keep wanting to say Phaedra for some reason because I'm looking at it right now. But the Porsha and the Kelli comes up, right? And they talk about how they could be on better terms, but Porsha has to let her know, like, listen, for me, I feel like you and I were okay until you became really close with Shamia, and that's when things turned toxic between us. And then Porsha tells her something that hurts her feelings. And it was something about it was some interview for the after show that Kelli had done with Shamia, where she talked about, kind of alluded to Porsha, like, I guess maybe stealing husbands or something like that. And, Portia's basically like, in real time, well, it's funny that you would be saying these things about me when I know stuff about you and a married man that you are allegedly sleeping with, doing things with, or whatever you're doing with them. And the scene ends right there. Now, we knew that was coming because we saw it on the previews and we saw it in the trailers. I don't know if I feel like, did y'all feel like y'all heard at some point an argument when I flashed back to that first scene with Cynthia introducing like a montage clip of the season, and she says, "Now what else is going on?" Did I hear somebody say a married pastor? Was it a married pastor? I don't know who it was. Okay, I don't know who it was. I've seen some of y'all guess about who this person is in the comments, but I don't know who it is. And it just seems like one of those reality TV show types of things, like a rumor that's, is it true or not? I don't really know. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. But I did think it was interesting that, number one, Phaedra thinks that it was Drew who influenced Angela to believe that Phaedra was the person that was doing all of this stuff last season with the June bug and all of that. So I don't think that things will really improve too much between Phaedra and Drew, which will be very, very interesting. Um, this is an interesting season. It's an interesting season so far. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Also, y'all, tonight's the night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are doing our live masterclass for those of you guys who are looking to get paid from your content. But we're going to talk about this in a different way. We're not going to talk about it in the traditional way where you are just making some content and you're hoping to get some ad revenue. No. Okay. We're going far beyond that. I like to do this live because I also like to ask questions and get your questions answered about your specific situation so that you can have a better idea of what you want to do. Because this is not a one size fits all type of situation. So if you are looking to accelerate your brand, your business, or whatever it is that you are hoping to build and you want to do it online, tonight's the night for you to join in. If you've been thinking about this, we've done these sessions twice in the past. They have been, honestly, one of my favorite, like one of my favorite things that I've ever ended up doing, because I'm able to help you in real time. And it's more than a course. It is an experience that you leave with, and you leave with answers, you leave with solutions, you leave with action plans, and you get to hear what other people are experiencing and doing, and you get to hear some of their questions, and that also helps you. So it's really super beneficial. It's a safe space for you to learn, grow, and experience, and do some things that can definitely build out your revenue streams, especially right now with things just always feeling so uncertain. My goal is to help you get to the next level and honestly take this beyond anything that even I've ever done. That's what I hope for you. Because at the end of the day, if we've got to provide outlets for each other to learn, to grow, and to do bigger and more things. Okay. And also, too, for those of you guys who have been interested and, you know, making like doing something different in your life, trying something new, and traveling outside the country, then we have 2 more spots for our Bali experience. Y'all, do not miss this. I am taking both groups to what is it's called a light and sound experience. There If you want to change your life, okay? You need to be there. You need to be there. I know you hear people talk about Bali all the time, but you need to be there. That's all I can tell you. Every trip that I come on, my life levels up in a way that I cannot believe. And I cannot tell you how much more clarity I get after these trips. So if you have been needing a reset, especially for me as somebody who has lost a parent, this has been probably the most healing experience that I've had traveling to these places and growing in the way that I have with these groups that become my family at this point. Like we got a little traveling family. The people on the Vietnam trip loved it so much. There were about maybe 60% of those people who ended up booking, I would say almost 70% of the people almost ended up booking for Bali. It's like that. Okay. So don't miss this opportunity. If you've been thinking about it, bring somebody along with you that has always wanted to do this with you. We got 2 more spots left. And if I need to open up some more, maybe I can. But if not, then, you know, there's always the next trip, right? Um, which I'm already planning for. So, with that being said, both of those links are in the description down below. Hop in on tonight's call. I cannot wait to help you. I cannot wait to assist you. And then also to the link for Bali. I cannot wait to travel with you. Okay. The WhatsApp groups are open for both experiences for both weeks in Bali. So we're already on the move. People are purchasing their flights and all that good stuff. So hop in on the action right now. Okay. With that being said, I will catch you in the next video.